We'd been in love 10 years, and on our anniversary my boyfriend said he had to work late. Yet on Instagram, I watched him sing happy birthday to his personal. When I confronted him, he told me I was making a mountain out of a molehill. He was certain I could never leave him. But this time I called in outside help. The 20th time I couldn't help myself, I searched ex-boyfriend on WhatsApp again. Clenching my teeth, I posted an ad online, hiring a breakup coach. Within minutes, someone actually applied. He was tall, gorgeous, and what clinched it was the line that stabbed straight through my heart. "If I don't succeed, Morgan, plus 10 times that back to you." I signed the contract on the spot. Chase studied my case file like a lawyer preparing for trial and announced I was textbook lovesick. Rational in every area except romance. The hardest type to cure, he said. I knew exactly what was happening, yet I still let myself sink, eyes wide open. I stared at Chase. He thumped his chest. "Relax. So far I've never lost." Equally confident was my ex-boyfriend, Rowan. He was waiting, calm and unhurried, for me to show up with a 10-page handwritten apology begging forgiveness. His certainty came from 178 previous breakups, each one started by him over the tiniest things. A missed call, forgetting our 33rd month anniversary, chatting with a new colleague without reporting it. Every time, I'd win him back with miniature essays that grew from a few sentences to over 1,000 words. Now that I do the math, Tripitaka's crew needed 14 years and 81 calamities to fetch the scriptures. We've only logged 10 years, yet our disasters were enough for them to attain Buddhahood twice over, still without a happy ending. The beautiful love I'd painstakingly built was a mirage, dazzling on the surface, riddled with holes underneath. The day it all snapped was, ironically, our 10th anniversary. I cooked a feast and waited for Rowan to come home glowing. He messaged first. "Emergency board meeting." I reheated dish after dish, smiling like an idiot at my phone, and posted a cute selfie. A man who checks in, total safety. One comment froze me. "Sophia's lucky to have a sis-in-law like you." Sophia? I knew her, Rowan's personal. We'd barely spoken, so the hairs on my neck stood up. Biting my lip, I replied, "My pleasure, though I didn't do much. Just getting Xiaoguang to come to my party means the world." "Thanks, sis." My eyes bulged. So he wasn't in a meeting, he was at her birthday. The letters on the screen ignited inside me, scorching my brain. "Rowan, where exactly are you?" I dialed instantly. He answered on video, panning across a conference room decked out with a crystal happy birthday slideshow. Everyone wore business attire, waving at me. "Sis-in-law." The camera settled on a stunning woman in a gold birthday crown. "Sorry to steal your anniversary time," she gushed. "I'm so lucky. Mr. Sterling even planned this surprise." I had no idea. She blushed toward someone off frame. "Your wife's the sweetest. She won't mind, right?" Rowan flipped the lens back to himself, kissed 2 fingers and blew it at me. The fire in my throat fizzled into smoke. I managed a strangled "Good girl. Love you, Dawn." If he could say it in front of the whole room, surely it was true. On screen, Rowan beamed, Sophia glowing beside him, co-workers cheering. I sat alone before a banquet that suddenly looked pathetic. Next to him, Sophia felt like the leading lady. I couldn't lie anymore. Did he actually love me? "Xiaoguang, can you come home right now?" "Why the sudden drama?" "Just come back to me." "Stop it. Who matters more, me or her?" "You, obviously, but midnight wishes are magic. Let me watch her blow the candles and I'm yours." "Be good, wait for me. You do realize today is." "Gotta go. Love you most." He vanished, pulled away by Sophia. I stared at the dead screen and whispered the sentence he hadn't let me finish. "Today is our 10th anniversary. If you don't walk through that door, we're done." That night I spent my 10th anniversary alone, and in the gray dawn I buried our relationship. Rowan finally strolled in as the sun came up. Seeing me on the couch, he hugged me with theatrical concern. "You stayed up all night? You'll make yourself sick." The cold from his jacket jolted me awake. "I was waiting," I said. His smile bloomed, he'd expected this. "Sweet girl. As a reward, Dawn, let's get married." He knelt and produced a box. Inside lay a plain silver band, dulled by the dim chandelier. But his eyes glittered with intoxicating devotion. I studied the face I'd loved for a decade, the man I'd bankrolled with both heart and wallet. Even now, my pulse hammered loud enough to hear. "Do you love me?" "No one on earth loves you more." "What about Sophia?" "She's only my personal. Nothing else." When I still didn't take the ring, suspicion crept across his features. "Don't force me to break up with you right now." I lifted the band. Inside the shank, the engraving read SCY. A triumphant smirk tugged at his mouth, threatening breakup always worked. This isn't the style I like, I said. Rowan's eyes flickered in panic, but before he could spin it, I opened Instagram. At midnight, Sophia had posted, "Birthday magic at 12 a.m., wish granted." The photo showed the exact solitaire diamond I'd always wanted. I looked again at the ring on my finger, initials that spelled Sophia, and the truth was obvious. Rowan scrambled to reframe it. "I forgot to buy her a birthday gift. This was all I had on hand, but I was desperate to marry you, so I borrowed her ring to propose. Be good, and I'll upgrade it at the wedding." He always claimed I was the one he loved most, yet I was forever his second choice. I lightly traced the 3 letters, SCY, then placed the ring back in his palm. "Rowan, we're done." Repeating the reason for the breakup every single day was breakup's first therapy rule. It worked. At least while I recited it to him, I never felt the slightest urge to reunite with Rowan. But 10 years is a long time, so long that traces of him lurk in every corner of my life. Breakup said those years are part of me, an established fact. Instead of trying to erase them, accept them. The only absolute prohibition, no contact with Rowan. Still, I sneaked off to the class reunion I'd already promised to attend. The party was boisterous. Many brought partners. Rowan brought Sophia. Eyes kept flicking among the 3 of us. Some men are trash. The moment they have money, they ditch the woman who built the empire with them and run off with a man-eater. Jerk and mistress, serves them right if they crash and burn. The speaker was my college roommate. After graduation we'd drifted, but apparently she'd kept track of me. Gratitude swelled in my chest. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't talking about you too. I meant that scandal couple in the news. You should see how miserable they ended up. Rowan pushed his tongue against his cheek, his tail when rage ignited. If you fear being misunderstood, shut up. Free lesson. When you don't know the full story, reserve judgment. Some people badmouth the sun simply because it shines too bright. Whether it's stupidity or malice, who knows? Sophia tugged his sleeve and boldly kissed his cheek. "Thank you, Rowan," she cooed. The room erupted in cheers. My defender suddenly looked like the wicked stepsister. She opened her mouth to strike back. I stepped forward and gently squeezed her arm, shaking my head. I walked across the shards of my heart until I stood before Rowan. "You claim you know the full picture. Then tell me, what exactly is the complete story between you, me, and her?" Without hesitation, he answered, "You didn't love me enough. You and I are already broken up. Anything Sophia and I do now carries no moral blame. Or, are you having second thoughts? Want me back? If you're willing to kneel and beg my forgiveness, maybe I'll consider it. This is your last chance." He'd always perched on that high pedestal. My love had hoisted him there. Yet he dared say I hadn't loved him enough. Ridiculous. I met his gaze. "That's right, I don't love you. I will never love you again." Rowan froze, then sneered. "Fine. Great. You've certainly grown a spine." Sophia draped herself over his arm. "Dawn, I'm so happy you've seen the light and let Rowan go. A woman must have self-respect, otherwise men look down on her." I gave a cold laugh. I've never lacked self-respect. I simply chose to love someone courageously. As for the man you're clinging to, what exactly is your relationship? Rowan peeled Sophia's hand away. "There's nothing between her and me." Shock flickered through me. A tiny ember of hope sparked in my eyes. Was he actually taking my side? Sophia forced a smile. "Rowan and I are just good friends." I mocked. "All that scheming, and this is all you've got?" Rowan's gaze skimmed past me as he reclaimed Sophia's hand. "I haven't officially asked Sophia to be my girlfriend yet. I'm still in the pursuit phase." The words landed like a slap, hot and stinging. Once again I'd let Rowan turn me into a clown. Sophia bloomed with a triumphant grin. People around us pointed and snickered. I stood at the center of the whirlpool, rigid, ears buzzing with static. "It's okay. I'm taking you home." A tender sigh cut through the noise. The next moment I felt myself folded into a warm embrace. Chase. He had guessed I wouldn't obey, that I'd come looking for Rowan despite everything. No matter how disappointed, how furious I was, the ache of missing him still drew me. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come," I whispered. Chase's voice was soft. "Don't do it again." Tears fell without warning. I buried my face in his chest and mumbled, "I won't. Never again." That night I lost count of the drinks. I only remember crying until no tears were left. Chase never stopped me. He simply passed me warm water from time to time. You don't know how good he was to me before. He cooked breakfast, surprised me with little gifts, held me when anxiety hit, and whispered that everything would be okay. He even saved me when I wanted to die. I clutched my chest, voice cracking. I know he doesn't deserve this now, but the Rowan I remember was wonderful. I can't let go. If people have to change, I'd rather never have tasted that sincerity in the first place. Chase wrapped his arms around me, patting my back in a slow, steady rhythm. The man you loved no longer exists. If the old Rowan who loved you could see this, he'd be heartbroken. Treat them as two different people and set yourself free. He took out his phone and played a video. Rowan, bouquet in hand, knelt and confessed to Sophia. Sophia beamed, shouting yes, amid applause. The crowd chanted, "Kiss her." And Rowan pressed his lips to her forehead, reverent, earnest. It looked more like a proposal than a mere confession. Unlike with me, when he'd pulled some other woman's ring from his pocket and demanded I marry him, expecting me to kowtow in gratitude for the honor. The Rowan who loved me had died the first time he made me cry. This Rowan was garbage, fit only for the trash can. The hangover felt like my skull would split. I sipped the sober-up soup Chase had brewed. He sat across from me, the host who had tended me through the night. I had slept at his place. I sneaked glances. His table manners were those of old money, face aristocratically handsome. "Do you remember what you need to do today?" he asked suddenly. I reined in my gaze. "Yes, I'm going to retrieve the most important thing, and after that Rowan and I are truly finished." Last night's binge had jarred me awake. I could sense that when Rowan's name crossed my mind now, the old flutter of joy had vanished. Once I reclaimed Eleanor's wooden figurine, Rowan and I would be nothing more than strangers. Chase could have paid too. He's the cheapest, most reliable breakup on the market, and I'd absolutely give him a 5-star review. I'm an orphan. St. Christopher's raised me. My wish was modest, a safe place to belong. But the ST wore the mask of charity while trafficking children. Every dawn, another batch of kids vanished. Some returned weeks later in velvet dresses, eyes hollow, paraded as lucky. Others, broken and bleeding, were tossed into the isolation cell in rags. They preached, "Be good, receive God's gift. Be bad, become trash." To prove it, staff starved us, then forced us to do worse things. Only the obedient earned full bowls and warm coats. Soon the kids craved those rewards, addicted to the grotesque contest. So when I ran, my best friend sold me out for one imported candy. Just as the matrons closed in, Rowan stepped between us. He was only a boy, but he stood like a wall, a blade of light slicing my darkness. They still dragged me back, yet Rowan visited every day. Because of him, I lasted long enough for Eleanor to choose me. Eleanor had been born, drifting until she could afford only a 400-square-foot apartment. Then she adopted me. We lived poor, but she tried to give me the world. For a while I thought I'd reached heaven. I loved 2 people, and 2 people loved me back. But years of grinding labor had shredded her health. She hid the pain to spare the cost, until her final breath. She left an ATM card with enough for college, and 2 wooden figurines. One for me, one for the man I'd marry. She had long since cast Rowan as her son-in-law. She clasped his hand, begging him to protect me. She already knew the diagnosis. She was terminal. She was shopping for someone to finish raising me. All her life she'd never begged, never surrendered, always wrestled fate to the mat. Yet heaven refused to let her stand beside me at the altar. For the first time she bowed her head and pleaded with Rowan to take care of me. Rowan dropped to his knees, knocked his forehead 3 times against the floor, and swore to love and shield me forever. So the second figurine, the one meant for my husband, bore Rowan's likeness. Would hold spirits, it cradles Eleanor's soul. I can't leave it in the hands of a man who no longer loves me. I hadn't been back to the house Rowan, and I bought in years. Small, shabby next to his mansion. But we each paid half. It was the only thing that truly belonged to both of us. A boy raised in silk, squeezed into this shoebox with me. He must have felt cramped. Familiar furniture summoned warm ghosts. I sighed and stepped inside. Rowan kept the figurine in the top drawer of the nightstand. He wanted it close enough to greet every morning. I used to rest my head on his chest, listening to his heart drum promises. I unfolded the red cloth. Inside lay a demon's face carved in wood. I yelped. The doll hit the floor. Where was mine? I tore the room apart, unaware Sophia had slipped in. Looking for this? She tossed the wooden figurine in her palm. My stare hardened. Theft carries 3 years. Hand it over, or what, orphan? Even if I did pocket this junk, who cares? Besides, your ex-boyfriend gave it to me. Proof he's over you. Sophia sneered. She moved to the window, the figurine teasing gravity. I stepped closer. Give it back. I swear I'll stay away from Rowan. I only want my life back. You think I care about Rowan? Disgust curled her lip. He's trash. I'm here for you, Dawn. I'm taking everything you love. She'd aimed at me all along, and I'd never met her. My pulse hammered as the carving swayed. If there's a misunderstanding, we can fix it. Sophia laughed. Misunderstanding? You're a stray. Why should Eleanor love you? Before you, she loved only me. Eleanor had worked as a nanny for a wealthy couple. She quit to raise me. Sophia was that couple's daughter, neglected, left with hired help. I offered her money, mansions, stake, everything. You gave her exhaustion and an early grave. She picked you. I begged. She never looked back. See? She worked herself to death. Deserved it. Sophia's face twisted into something infernal, dragging me toward damnation. Dawn, you'll never escape. I'll strip your world bare until you die alone. The figurine still balanced on the sill. Reading her malice, I knew she'd drop it. Then Rowan walked in. Surprise flickered, then scorn. Crawled back? Your new can't keep you fed. I swallowed pride. Only he could save the carving now. Sophia still needed his favor. Rowan, remember the figurine my mom carved for you? Sophia's holding it hostage. If you ever respected her, make Sophia give it back. I staked my last hope on him. He noticed Sophia only then. At the word figurine, his pupils narrowed. Sophia, not everything I own is yours. Hand it over. Tears of grievance swirled in Sophia's eyes. I didn't try to take your things. The moment I walked in, I saw Dawn riffling through your drawer. She wanted to give the wooden figurine to someone else, so I took it back. It's clearly yours. To give to your new. Rowan ground the words between his teeth, then swung toward me. I shook my head hard. Sophia answered with a sly little smirk. A dull thud followed. When I looked again, Sophia's hands were empty. I rushed to the window and leaned out. The wooden figurine lay in shattered pieces across the ground. My hand slipped. Sorry. I'll replace it, or pay you 10 times its price, Sophia cooed in sham concern. I slapped her across the face. Rowan lunged, wrestling me still. Even without the figurine, I'll stay with you. Dawn, stop making a scene. I struggled but couldn't break free. I spat in his face. Get lost. I don't want you. His voice iced over. Don't want me? Then who you're new? You're dumping me because of him. Is that why you stopped loving me? He squeezed me tighter, until I could barely breathe. Dawn, just apologize. Say you're sorry and I'll forgive you. This was the man I'd loved for so long. Pathetic. Still raving from his pedestal. I glanced at Sophia. Resentment flashed in her eyes. She hadn't expected Rowan to say that in front of her. Rowan, Dawn already likes someone else. Don't keep fighting over the past for my sake. Sophia tugged his sleeve, fragile and pleading. Rowan shoved her away. She hit the floor hard, gaping up at him. You? Who the hell are you? How dare you come between Dawn and me? You were just a fling. The second Dawn asks, I'll go back to her. He gazed at me with devout longing. Dawn, they're all passing scenery. Only you are my destination. Apologize and I'll drop every other woman right now and stay with you forever. You've lost your mind. I had no energy for him. I only wanted to retrieve the figurine Eleanor had left me. Rowan sensed my struggle and kissed me forcibly. I bit his tongue hard. The taste of blood ignited his frenzy. Eyes red, he looked like a rabid demon. Yes, I'm insane, but you drove me to it. You shift your love so easily. I have to keep yanking your gaze back until you love me again. I shift my love. When your eyes linger on any man for more than 2 seconds, I want to gouge them out. You're supposed to look only at me. I'm the one who loves you most. Frowning, I groped in my pocket for my phone. But the emergency call hadn't gone through when pain exploded at the back of my neck and everything went black. I woke tied to a chair. Sophia lay on the cold cement floor, drenched in blood. It had to be an abandoned cellar. The windows were bricked shut, airtight. A body could rot here for years before anyone found it. Sophia, wake up. I tried to rouse her. If she didn't get help, she'd bleed to death. What are you calling her for? Rowan's voice sounded behind me. Because I'd been bound the whole time, I hadn't noticed him standing there. Afraid she'll miss the pain? Don't worry, she only fainted. When I start slicing her, one strip at a time, she'll definitely wake up. He spoke like a devil. My scalp prickled. He really meant to kill her. He was insane. Once he finished Sophia, I'd be next. I leveled my voice, careful not to provoke him. Whatever's happened, we can talk it through. We can still change course. Don't cross the point of no return, okay? Change. This woman made you dump me, made you stop loving me. Once she's dead, we'll be fine again. See how much I love you. Knife in hand, he walked to Sophia and gazed at me with sick affection, then plunged the blade into her arm. She shrieked, a sound raw and animal. She came to, staring at Rowan in terror. Let me go, please. I shouldn't have seduced you, shouldn't have trashed your precious wooden figurine. I was wrong, I swear. Rowan didn't relent. Sophia passed out from pain, jolted awake again, passed out once more, until finally she lay still. Blood pooled beneath her. Crimson speckled Rowan's face and clothes. He lifted the knife like a child waiting for praise. "Dawn, how was that? Apologize and we'll be together forever." I swallowed my nausea and coaxed gently. "My wrists are rubbed raw. Untie me first, and I'll write you a 10-page love letter." Rowan brightened. "You still remember the 10-page love letter, so you do love me." He actually freed the ropes and led me to a corner table. Only then, thanks to the blind spot, did I see the furniture, tiny chairs and desks built for grade schoolers. I had to curl my body painfully to sit. The desktop was carved with dense, frantic words. "I'm sorry. I was wrong. Forgive me." A stack of printer paper as tall as a person towered at the desk's left corner. Each sheet carried the same 3 sentences. A chill crawled up my spine. "I wrote all of those for my mother," Rowan bragged. I swallowed. "Why so many?" "Because that's how she said I had to prove I loved her. She gave me life, so I had to love her most." His eyes narrowed. "I saved you, Dawn, so you must love me most." I thought of every breakup, every apology essay he'd demanded. Proof that he ranked first in my heart. In his world he was my god. I was meant to kneel at his feet, confessing endlessly, surrendering my love. As I watched the words "I'm sorry" appear under my pen without conscious will, a shudder rattled my bones. When the police burst into the cellar, Rowan stood unruffled at my side. "Didn't expect your new to care this much." I should thank him. It only seals us tighter together. "You murdered Sophia, and you stand there gloating? What proof do you have?" He smiled eerily. "Officer, I'm reporting Dawn for a crime of passion. She killed my girlfriend, Sophia." I stared at him in disbelief as he twisted the blame back onto me. He spoke in a voice only I could hear. "It's fine. As long as you insist you didn't kill anyone, they'll release you for lack of evidence. I couldn't bear to see you really go to prison. But it was clearly you. But the murder weapon will only have your fingerprints. There are no pinhole lenses here, and most importantly, I've already wiped away every trace of my own crime. All the evidence left points straight at you." Rowan said this slowly, unhurriedly. An ex-girlfriend who can't let go, kidnaps her ex-boyfriend, murders his new girlfriend. I'm sure that story is juicy enough to keep people gossiping for a long time. I said, "The net of justice is wide, nothing slips through. You want to toy with the law and bury the truth? Keep dreaming. The law is just a curtain clever people hide behind while they commit crimes within the rules, and the truth is nothing more than the history the rich write for themselves." "Dawn, you're too naive." Rowan shook his head pityingly. A police officer walked up to us, face stern. I lifted my head and shot Rowan a hostile glare. "Officer, I'm reporting this man for intentional homicide and for framing me." Rowan looked at me innocently, his eyes brimming with mockery. In his view, my struggles were those of an ant beneath notice. I touched the tiny pinhole lens hidden in my hairpin. Then I smiled brightly. "Officer, I have full footage of his crime." "Oh, and by the way, there are probably plenty of replays of Sterling Group's CEO committing murder circulating online. They'll all serve as evidence." Rowan's face changed. "You actually hit a camera there? Impossible. I don't believe it. This can't be real." Seeing his twisted, panicked expression, I shrugged. "Thanks to that new you sneered at, he was worried about me, afraid I'd be framed for stealing from you. He never imagined you'd actually commit murder." Chase stepped to my side. "The moment we saw the surveillance, I called the police and started a live stream online. The Sterling Group you counted on for protection is probably about to change its name." "No, I can't lose. No one in this world loves you more than I do, Dawn. I won't let you go." With that hoarse, desperate roar, silver handcuffs snapped shut around his wrists. He will spend the rest of his life under the light of legal justice behind bars. Sophia's corpse was horrifically mangled. The woman who claimed the moral high ground ended up nothing but a fistful of dust. Her parents never showed up, not once. No one knows on which patch of weedy ground her ashes were finally scattered. With that, my commission ended completely. Chase stood beside me. He didn't ask for his fee. Instead, he invited me to dinner that evening. The place he suggested was a famous couple's restaurant, widely touted as the #1 spot for a marriage proposal. I arrived on time. Chase's white suit made him look incredibly handsome. A violin sang overhead. Dazzling crystal chandeliers scattered flirtatious light across the room. His eyes held a tenderness deep enough to drown in. "Dawn, the truth is I was never really a breakup coach. I'm just a coward who's been secretly in love with you for 23 years. 23 years? Doing the math, that would be back when we were in the orphanage. I'm the kid who cried all the time." I blinked in disbelief, The handsome lines of his face refused to overlap with the memory of a grubby, tear-streaked child. It's really you. Back then I was the only rebel in the orphanage, but every time punishment came, someone would stealthily slip me half a steamed bun. He'd always cry while I ate, yet he never once told me to stop fighting. When I ran away, I asked him to come. He only shook his head and refused. In hindsight, that decision was wise. If he'd been caught too, neither of us would have gotten buns. We'd have starved. Seeing my memory stir, he chuckled. Back at St. Jude's, you were my only light. Watching you, I thought, I can't give up. I want a life of my own too. After Eleanor adopted me, I went back for him. I handed him a phone and urged him to photograph the orphanage's cruelty, so I could expose it. Now that we speak of it, Rowan accompanied me to every newspaper office in the city. The last small outfit agreed to publish our expose. Together we sent the traffickers to prison, and that no-name weekly rocketed into the city's top 4 papers. This wooden figurine returned to its rightful owner. Chase produced the mended carving. You could tell how much work he'd put in. The seams between clay and wood were nearly invisible, the color difference minimized. I saw the many nicks on his long, elegant fingers, every cut left by a carving knife. Thank you. Tears filled my eyes as I carefully stroked the reclaimed figurine. Chase said, Dawn, I really care for you. Will you be my girlfriend? The young man's lashes quivered. He didn't dare blink. Light fell across him, and I saw that familiar glow once more. But this time I shook my head gently. I don't think I'm ready to start a new relationship yet. I want to reclaim the years of wood carving I'd abandoned. Chase, thank you, but I'm sorry. Disappointment flashed in his eyes, but relief shone brighter. You've truly completed your detox. You're simply you now, Dawn. I'll walk from behind you to your side, and wait until you're ready to take my hand. My tears finally spilled onto the table. I think I've met someone truly indescribably good. Once upon a time I had shown a light for him. Now he carries a torch to help me find myself again. At a Riverdale evening sale, the auctioneer whipped the crowd into a frenzy over the final lot, a masterwork by the world's top woodcarver. They say this master is a young woman. The winner of this last piece may also win her hand in marriage. Plenty of bidders eyed the item, but before long the price drove most of them out. Yet whoever raised a paddle, the man in the front row outbid them, arm relentlessly rising, until a rough hand clamped down on that arm. Casey, your item is right here. Chase's pupils dilated, joy exploding across his face. Our eyes met and we smiled. He solemnly accepted a humble-looking wooden figurine, far less perfect than the one on stage. My bid is the rest of my life. Ellis, please look after me from now on. Casey, please look after me too. Thank you for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you score it? If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more extraordinary stories. Until next time.
Aurora, do you love me? He wrapped his arm around the woman in his lap and grinned at me. He tipped her chin up, kissed her loudly, then turned back. Be good and run out for condoms. The woman curled against my husband gave a sweet, poisonous laugh. Her stare was pure venom. But, cousin, if you insist on dumpster diving, don't come crying later. The ocean was ice. I waded deeper. His voice still rang in my ears. Aurora, if Mom hadn't pitted you and dragged you home, you'd be nothing. Don't be ungrateful. Water climbed my ribs, crushing my lungs. My vision tunneled, breath came in desperate gulps. Suddenly Dad's voice cut through. Honey, I spun. Only blackness. A surge knocked me down, swallowed me into midnight blue silence. I let my eyes close and felt warmth bleed away. Dolores's sneer flashed, burden of a girl. Then the roar, you shame your parents. I opened my eyes. A man stood with his back to me, wringing seawater from clothes. He turned. Throwing your life away is the weakest move on earth. I jerked fully awake, my ears rang like sirens. Dad's voice again, our honey stays stubborn, stays fierce, no one messes with her. And if they try, Dad's right here. Above me the sky paled toward dawn. Right, Mom raised a willful little princess, not the cringing burden of a girl the Fulton estate trained. I tidied myself, drove home. Inside the foyer, stilettos lay tumbled like dice. Among them glared the scarlet-soled pair, gift I'd hinted at before our anniversary. I'd waited all day, then saw them on Brittany at Fulton Tech. I slammed the door. The crash cut short the bedroom acrobatics. He stalked out in a sheet, swearing. Aurora, psycho much? Way to kill the mood. A syrupy voice floated after him. President Fulton, who is it? He snorted, hooked an arm around Brittany's waist, and drawled, "There, Aurora." He faced me, lip curled. "Took you all night to buy condoms, useless." "Where are they? No, are you okay?" "No, why are you soaked?" I glanced down, pressed my lips, looked him dead on. "Lost them." He sighed theatrically, smacked a kiss on Brittany. "See? Our Tion thinks ahead, reward time." Brittany giggled up at him. "President Fulton's unstoppable, we burned through everything I brought." I cut in, stomach churning. "Blake, we need to talk." I held his gaze, measured and cold. Surprise flickered, he wasn't used to that tone. "What?" Brittany hugged his waist, pouted. "Why can't I listen?" "I wanna hear." He tapped her nose. "Sure. It's not like Aurora has anything important to say." I watched her triumph smirk and spoke. "I want a divorce." He froze, then barked a laugh. "Say that again?" I glanced at Brittany, then back to him. "This marriage is meaningless now." His face relaxed, he scoffed. "Name your price." He fished his phone from crumpled pants, dialed. "Divorce? Without me you're nothing." The call connected. "Talk fast, I'll have Derek buy it." I enunciated every syllable. "I want a divorce." He hurled the phone. Genteel mask gone, he seized my arm. "Refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit, Aurora. Who'd want a washed-up stray like you?" His grip tightened, my fingers tingled. I wrenched free, livid prints bloomed on my skin. I laughed. "Washed up how, exactly?" he panted. "Aurora." He loomed, chest heaving. "Remember, my family took you in. If not for your mom." I cut in, still smiling, "I'd have died on the street." Dolores found me on my birthday. After the crash, uncle seized everything, promised a celebration. I wore my best dress, waited at Seaside's gate until nightfall, sobbing in a snowstorm. She wrapped me in her coat and carried me to the Fulton estate. His face purpled. He raised his hand, froze mid-swing. I arched a brow. "Going to hit me, Mr. Fulton?" I yanked the door open. Derek stood outside, clutching a boutique bag. "Aurora, Mr. Fulton asked for these." Inside, the scarlet-soled stilettos, lacquer reflecting my blank face. "Aurora!" He exploded. "You dare divorce me?" He strode out, rage stalling when he spotted Derek. "Ah, Derek, head back. We're handling private matters." He peeked into the bag, smug understanding dawning. He shoved it at me. "Here, your shoes. Quit the drama, the staff is watching." Under Derek's worried gaze I lifted one pump, studied it, laughed, soundless, weary. He honestly believes he's generous. I tossed the shoes at his feet. "Moron." I brushed past, tucking loose hair behind my ear. As his roar chased me I said over my shoulder, "That's that, Mr. Fulton. I'll have my lawyer courier the divorce papers, kindly find a moment to sign." 5 years married to him, I had accompanied him from nothing to the helm of a listed company, my shadow in every smoke-filled bar where investors nursed glasses. The seed money that became Fulton Tech came from me dragging him, door to door, to every venture capital shark in Newport Beach. Yet his mask lasted only a month after the IPO, 30 days of applause, then he ushered Brittany through the front gate of the Fulton estate. The next morning the phone shrieked. I answered in a daze and his roar drilled into my ear. "Aurora, where the hell are you?" I held the cell at arm's length, let him rant, then said, "Blake, I don't report my whereabouts to you anymore. After walking out yesterday I'd moved into my beachside studio on the forgotten edge of town, cheap rent and a postage stamp balcony wide enough for my beloved easel. I'd painted since grade school. Professor Whitaker once said the gods themselves spoon-fed me color. Exhibiting under the name Luna Lark, I sold every dreamy canvas within hours. Then heaven cracked a joke. Speeding home for my birthday, Mom and Dad were T-boned by a jackknife truck. The asphalt glittered with baby's breath and crushed tubes of oil paint, the gift they'd chosen for Honey. He refused to ink the divorce papers. My attorney relayed the message, embarrassed. The only signature he'll give is if I walk away with nothing. Predictable. After all, Dolores had once rescued me because my designer jeans advertised a fat reward from grateful parents. I called Professor Whitaker, whom I hadn't seen in years. He sighed with pride. The new canvases I'd mailed hadn't disappointed. "Let's mount a gallery opening," he said. I asked him to take the reins and send the VIP passes himself. After Mom and Dad died, Uncle deliberately severed my contact with the professor. Later, when I mentioned painting to Dolores at the Fulton estate, she slapped me to the terracotta tiles. In front of gawking neighbors, she jabbed a finger at my nose. "We feed an ungrateful wretch like you, and you dare fantasize about wasting money on oil paints? Burden of a girl." The Luna Lark show lured collectors from every moneyed zip code. He appeared at my door waving a ticket, irritation bristling off him. "Aurora, are you done throwing your tantrum?" He lifted the glossy rectangle. "Didn't you beg to visit a gallery? Ever hear of Luna Lark?" Seeing my eyes snag on the pass, he flicked it with a smirk. "Fine, divorce is nothing. You hate Brittany? She won't cross the threshold again." I kept staring at the ticket, looking at his face churned my stomach. My fingers whitened on the door handle. "Blake, spend that energy on the divorce papers instead." The door shut. He lingered, curses building like a wave until neighbors peered out. Pride intact, he kicked my panel once, crushed the ticket in his fist and stalked away. His hair-trigger temper is pure victor. Contradict him and he'll torch every bridge in sight. On opening night, I waited outside for Professor Whitaker. Brittany glided over in snow-white silk, pressed polished fingers to her lips and swept me head to toe. "Oh my, Aurora, hired as the greeter today? Beg and maybe I'll take you in as my +1. Each VIP pass entitled the holder to a guest. To be safe, I'd mailed one to him and one to Brittany." I said nothing. Certain she'd scored a point, she sailed inside wearing victory-like perfume. When Professor Whitaker arrived, we entered together. After introducing me to half the room, he released me to the crowd, advising that I keep my identity secret until the finale and circulate as a mere buyer. I'd finished mentally pricing one canvas when I spun around and found Brittany inches away, eyes glittering with malice. "Aurora, stalking Blake so desperately you sneaked in?" Her stupidity still managed to shock me. I stepped past, she seized my wrist, checked the vicinity, then hissed into my ear. "Looks expensive, this painting, doesn't it?" A shriek tore from her throat as she lurched and flung her cocktail. I hesitated a beat, accepting the shower of vodka, but crimson drops still speckled the canvas behind me. Professor Whitaker's own award-winning piece on loan to add prestige. I apologized to the professor. Brittany was right, the painting was priceless. He brushed aside the damage, urging me to change clothes. Brittany's glance flicked between the elderly man and me, a knowing grin blooming. "So that's your backbone, Aurora? Found yourself a sugar patriarch?" She clicked her tongue. "Though, goodness." Across the room his face had purpled, his lips shaped silent insults, eyes steeped in disgust. I laughed, really laughed, then sauntered off to change. Though Professor Whitaker had retired from the circuit decades ago, his name still thundered. Apparently his new money radar couldn't identify royalty. When I returned, Brittany was still shrieking, clutching the professor's lapel, demanding reimbursement for a droplet-stained skirt while Blake nodded, playing injured party. Fury and helplessness mottled the old man's cheeks. I lifted a full bottle from a passing tray, stepped to Brittany, and, under her triumphant stare, appended Cabernet over her head. She froze, then screamed like a klaxon. Wine rivers snaked through her salon-perfect hair, black mascara tributaries carving deltas down her cheeks. The white dress bloomed crimson roses. She was farce incarnate. "Aurora, have you lost your mind?" His bellow cracked across the marble. He hauled her against him, soothed her soggy hair, then pivoted to flame me with his glare. Watching him radiate hatred, I remembered investors humiliating me while he'd played the heartbroken spouse. "Aurora, I swear you'll never suffer again. I'll make you happy for life." That promise had not survived even a single orbit of the sun. Someone in the crowd recognized Blake and me, their eyes locked on Blake and Brittany, wondering what drama was unfolding. "Blake, let's get divorced." Delight flitted across Brittany's face. Nestled in his arms, she smiled at me in triumph. He glared at me, clenched teeth bared, and snarled, "Aurora, you planned this from the start, didn't you? Without me, who would even know your name?" His sneering was cut short by Professor Whitaker. "Whose gallery opening do you think you're attending?" He froze, then snapped his head toward me. "Your Luna Lark?" When I stayed silent, he stammered, demanding why I'd hidden it. I didn't bother answering. I turned instead to apologize to the guests. I couldn't bear their stares. His face went white as he dragged Brittany out of the hall. A big investor had once adored Luna Lark's work, but by then her paintings had vanished from the market. I faked a month-long business trip, returned with a brand new Luna Lark canvas, and found a secretary named Brittany already inside Fulton Tech, glued to him. Only a handful of people knew Blake and I were married. Most employees believed we'd built Fulton Tech together as partners, never imagining I was also his wife. So the girls around me talked openly, speculating about him and Brittany right in front of me. When I confronted him, he swore the gossip was baseless, and to prove it, he transferred Brittany to another department. At first I managed to convince myself he was telling the truth, until rumor after rumor reached me, until explanation after identical explanation left his mouth, and finally, after I walked in on them tongue to tongue in the break room, my hope flatlined. News of Blake and Brittany crashing my gallery opening exploded online. The public tore into him for ditching the wife who'd stood by him since the beginning, the one crime affluent America can't stomach. Of course, my paid trolls helped fan those flames. He sat across from me, arms folded, sneering, "You got what you wanted, Aurora." His whole face blamed me. The divorce was my fault, entirely. And why not? Raised in a household dripping with machismo, he'd never been programmed to admit a mistake. In his mind, I hadn't been tolerant enough to coexist with Brittany. I hadn't been generous enough to hand over the company we'd built. Step by step we filed the papers. I refused his shares, demanding their cash value instead. He laughed at my short-sightedness, claiming I couldn't see Fulton Tech's glorious future, only immediate money. Watching that smug grin, I hoped he'd stay this arrogant forever. When I reached my gate that evening, I spotted a familiar figure. She spun around, eyes lighting up, then dropped to the pavement and wailed. Her cheeks were swollen, perfect fingerprints glowing red across them. Neighbors out for a stroll drifted over, and the woman ramped up the sobs. She cried that she'd treated Blake and me equally, cried that after raising us with all her heart, this was her reward. When the onlookers caught the name she kept screaming, the murmurs grew louder. Dolores pressed her hands to her face and held, but between her fingers her eyes glittered with glee. That's his mother? Making a scene like trailer trash. Does she want to bury him? How dare she show up? She's the abuser. Each comment reached Dolores's ears. She whipped her hands down, planted them on her hips, and shrieked at the crowd, "Who are you calling trailer trash?" She spun and jabbed a finger at me. This woman ruined my son and blackmailed him for a fortune. I studied her calmly. Time had erased every trace of the woman who once smiled and said she'd take me home. That woman had died long ago, smothered by domestic violence and greed. I spoke softly. "Aunt Dolores, the year you picked me up, didn't Uncle suddenly land a much better job?" Her rage froze. She hadn't expected me to drag up the past. I pressed on. "When you say you treated me the same as Blake, do you mean I only ever got what he threw away?" Panic flickered in her eyes. "As for college, didn't I pay my own tuition?" I smiled. "Oh, and his tuition too, right?" I'd recorded every dollar, every cent. The moment I overheard Dolores and Victor demand hush money from Uncle, they stopped being kind rescuers. For a while after they brought me to the Fulton estate, they really had acted like parents. But visit after visit to the police station yielded no one looking for me, and their patience wore thinner each day. When did their attitude flip completely? The night Uncle called. They thought I was asleep, but terror of being abandoned kept me wide-eyed. The cheap handset crackled so loudly I caught every word. "Here's 200 grand, keep Aurora under your thumb. If she slips away, you'll face the consequences." Bullshit. Dolores howled, eyes bulging as she glared at me. "Enough," his voice cracked behind me. He stepped forward, shot his mother a murderous look, glanced at me, then turned to apologize to the neighbors. "Sorry for the disturbance." Without another word he yanked her away. Brittany was pregnant. She told me while I was packing up after a day-long gallery opening, patting a belly that didn't yet exist. Her eyes glowed with what people call maternal bliss, but when they met mine they shone with triumph. "Blake and I are getting married. You should come, witness our happiness." My gaze drifted to her stomach. She instinctively shielded it, a flicker of panic crossing her face before she smiled again. I smiled back. "I'll definitely prepare a grand gift." On wedding day, I arrived at the grand early, claiming a corner table to wait for the ceremony. The ballroom dripped luxury, far grander than anything at my own wedding. The minute we hit legal age, Blake hustled me to the courthouse, and I'd fantasized endlessly about a real ceremony. He wrapped an arm around me and promised, "Babe, I can't give you your dream wedding yet, but I'll make it up to you someday." I survived on that sugar-coated promise, until it starved me into the present. When every guest had settled, the MC announced the procession would begin. but the couple never appeared. A deafening crash erupted backstage, followed by a woman's scream. Guests leapt to their feet. I glanced back, unable to stop the grin blooming across my face. Brittany was an idiot, and her little boy toy even more so. A single anonymous VIP pass was all it took to bring him here. He dragged a struggling Brittany into the ballroom, gaze sweeping the crowd. I knew exactly who he was hunting. I deliberately knocked over my glass and ducked my head out of sight. Sure enough, Blake strode right past me, grabbed the guy by the collar, and snarled, "You dare touch my woman?" I quietly slid my chair back, surrendering the battleground. The two men crashed together in a brawl that yanked the cloth off the table, desserts, entrees, and all, leaving them streaked with chocolate mousse and beurre blanc. Brittany fluttered nearby, pleading, but when she reached in to separate them, a shove sent her sprawling against the upended table. She shrieked, clutching her belly in sudden pain. I watched the pool of red widen beneath her, blooming across the silk as she rolled, smearing herself with crimson frosting. He and the toy froze, then lunged for her at the same time. I couldn't hold back the laugh. His head snapped up at the sound. He stared at me, dead-eyed. "Those photos, was that you?" I smiled and nodded. "A wedding gift. Looks like you're enjoying it. Happy ever after." I turned to Brittany's parents and waved. "Mr. and Mrs. Shaw, long time no see." Their faces were the color of wet cement. Uncle Shaw's hand trembled so violently I feared the bones might crack. "Easy, Uncle. At your age a heart attack would be tragic. You still need to watch Brittany enjoy marital bliss, remember?" I stepped closer. "That day at Seaside, I know you slipped away on purpose." His eyes bulged, murky irises reflecting me like a funhouse mirror. "I also know you told the Fultons to lock me up." I leaned in until my breath brushed his ear. Brittany's face, your exact copy. Repulsive. You're both thieves, coveting what isn't yours. Brittany and his spectacle of a wedding became Newport's favorite joke. He divorced me for Brittany, only to be cuckolded by her before the cake was cut. The Fulton estate sued Brittany's parents for damages, turning the fiasco into a citywide telenovela. The Shaws paid dearly, 7 figures and a daughter left behind. I heard they relocated overnight, abandoning Brittany at the mansion gates. Riley slapped the cafe table, doubled over with laughter, shoulders shaking. Once, for his sake, I had pushed away this best friend. When she stormed out, I actually tried to explain that he was worth it. "Aurora," she wheezed, "karma's a bigger bitch than either of us." The next time I saw Brittany, I barely recognized her. The meticulous gloss was gone, hair frizzed from neglect, face stripped of its Instagram mask contour. A month had aged her a decade. She spotted me, eyes flaring with hope, and started forward, only to be yanked back by a claw-like hand. Dolores stood there, fingers digging half-moons into Brittany's arm, hooded eyes glittering with ancient fury. Following Brittany's gaze, she caught sight of me. Her glare could have flayed skin. "Ungrateful wretch. Burden of a girl," she spat, though the insults were meant for me. Brittany whimpered about her treatment. Dolores answered with a crack across the face. "You dare complain, whore." She dragged the sobbing girl away, nails still anchored in flesh. I filed the daytime drama away and forgot it, until Blake showed up under my condo awning that night. Post-divorce, every channel to me was blocked, so he'd come to lurk like a stray tomcat. I almost felt sorry watching him step into my path. "Honestly, the whole family's been auditioning for reality TV today." "Aurora," his voice softened, eyes pleading with counterfeit warmth. Before the bile could spill further, I cut in. "Mr. Fulton, did we schedule a consultation?" The rehearsed speech jammed in his throat. I rolled my eyes, sidestepped, and stayed just within camera range of the lobby CCTV. When he lunged, I swayed clear. That was when I noticed the creased shirt, the red roadmap eyes, the 2-day stubble, everything his vanity normally outlawed. "Aurora, the books are cooked." His voice cracked. "Come back, just this once. You only need to." I lifted a hand, retreating until my back kissed the marble wall beneath the lens. "Let me guess, I just have to charm investors, clink glasses, and swallow my dignity again?" Hope flickered. I crushed it. "And why would I? Because you cheated? Because we signed divorce papers?" My fingers found the magnetic latch behind me. I slipped inside and let the door hiss shut, then pressed my smile to the glass. "Besides, I'm the one who mailed the ledgers to the feds." Shock detonated across his face, followed by primal rage, transformation in under 30 seconds. He hammered the pane until blood dotted the frosted glass, finally hurling a trash can that clanged off the frame. Security rushed in, Blake swung, knocking the guard down, and kept swinging until sirens replaced shouts. Even cuffed he screamed through the windshield of the cruiser, "Aurora, I will bury you." His empire didn't survive the audit. The anchor on the evening news recited the charges: tax evasion, bribery on municipal bids, while Fulton Tech's stock bled out on the ticker. Suddenly a woman barreled into the shot, yanking the reporter's sleeve. "Aurora did this. My son never stole a cent, arrest her." Dolores collapsed on the courthouse steps, pounding the pavement. "My poor boy, cursed by that witch." The reporter fled, the live feed cut to traffic. He had wanted a dynasty, but every cousin clamoring for a seat on the board cared only about the last scrap of dividend I'd left them. I had warned him. Victor rallied the clan to accuse me of a power grab, and, astonishingly, Blake believed them. When the colleagues I'd mentored began texting horror stories, I knew Fulton Tech's days were numbered. The day he was led away in cuffs, my phone lit up with celebratory emojis from inside the hollowed-out headquarters. His company couldn't outrun the subpoenas. My art, on the other hand, was just beginning to breathe. His parents came to my place raising hell every single day. After I called the cops a few times, they quieted down, but Dolores still kept vigil beneath my building. Riley worried about me, and when I refused to move, she showed up with suitcases and moved right in. I kept thinking it over, and I just can't relax unless I'm here with you. Fulton Tech was padlocked, and the Fultons scraped together every loose dollar just to plug the hole. Thanks to Dolores's daily sidewalk tears, I could track exactly how the disaster was unfolding. She poured out the injustice of fate to every passerby, wailing that the daughter they'd raised now cut them to the bone. At first a few people slowed to listen, but soon they stepped around her like she was air. Brittany was mortified. She hovered on the curb, trying to stay distant, only to have Dolores grab her by the hair and drag her back, igniting another wild tug-of-war for an audience. Finally, after I watched one of these hair-pulling scenes once too often, Brittany snapped. She wrenched free, shoved Dolores hard, spat on the sprawled woman, slammed past me, and ran. Dolores's eyes locked on me, her breath rasping, her face white. Victor hadn't shown his face since the day I dialed 911, probably too ashamed. Only Dolores persisted, staking the sidewalk below with Brittany in tow. When Riley came to pick me up and saw her crumpled there, she gasped, thumbed 911 for an ambulance, and tugged at my sleeve. "Aurora, leave her. She'll sue you for every cent." Desperation flashed across Dolores's stare. I stood motionless, until the paramedics lifted her away. After the gallery opening, collectors who'd come for a look slapped down deposits on the spot. On Professor Whitaker's advice, I opened a studio of my own, and set to work on a competition piece. He walked into my loft studio, just as I placed the final touch of oil paint. Mom and Dad beamed up from the canvas. My eyes welled. I had been painting that family portrait the day their car was crushed, and when the news came I slashed the canvas, because every unfinished smile accused me, as though my hurry had steered them into the crash. I could finally honor the faces I still carry in my head. In the new painting they hold my hands and laugh, baby's breath blooming like a cloud behind us. "Aurora, looks like life's treating you well," came his low growl from behind. Every hair on my neck stood up. I spun around. He hadn't changed his clothes from that night. "Sprung from jail and come straight here." I packed my brushes and turned to him. "What do you want?" He barked a laugh. "What do I want?" He snickered, then barked, "Plenty. You ruined me, and you think you'll sail off into some perfect sunset?" I flicked my gaze to the ceiling camera and fired back, "Ruined you? Or did you do the wrecking yourself?" His eyes glazed. He kept talking to the air. "You set me up from that gala, humiliated me, divorced me, mailed me shots of Brittany cheating on my wedding day, drove me crazy." He pinned me with a stare. "You flew the guy she slept with to the Grand, just to watch us fight, right? You always knew Fulton Tech's books were cooked, so you took only cash in the divorce, banking on the rest being looted by my own crew without telling me? Look, Aurora, step by step you torched my life, who else should I come for?" The tirade was almost comic. I glanced at the camera again and answered, "Blake, you're the one who slept with Brittany and paraded her under my roof, smashed your own wedding when you lost your temper, forced Fulton Tech into a family firm and packed it with every cousin you've got. Tell me, which part of that is my fault?" His face twisted, a knife flashed from behind his back and he closed in. "You reported me, got my company shuttered, and my mom had to borrow from sharks. My life is over, Aurora, so yours ends now. Die." I sidestepped the blade, snatched the still life vase, and cracked it across his skull. He froze, then crashed face first to the concrete. I planted my foot between his shoulders and smiled down at his thrashing body. Too long in lockup, Mr. Fulton, brains must have gone soft. Did you really think I'd come unprepared? Riley pushed in with 2 patrol officers, rushed over, and hugged me tight, trembling. Aurora, you scared me to death. I'd known he would hunt me the moment bail was refused. I had texted Riley in advance, and I had tapped my smartwatch the second he appeared. Once she nudged the lobby camera, our prearranged message received, I began needling him on purpose. Every lunge was caught in HD. When the cops cuffed him, I handed over the clip and said, Blake, right to this very minute, you're still the author of your own downfall. Charged with attempted aggravated assault, he was hauled back to jail, this time with no rich parents to post bond. Word is the second he stepped outside on release day, a loan shark crew dragged him away. Nobody's heard a whisper since. Victor vanished after Brittany shoved Dolores and landed her in neuro ICU. Brittany herself now wears orange for aggravated battery, while Dolores, her head smacked against the curb, suffered a brain bleed. They got her to surgery fast, but the damage left its mark. Watching the woman in the hospital bed blink at me in innocent curiosity, the doctor beside me sighed. She woke up like this. No next of kin, admin begged us to call you. The woman seized my hand and whispered, Sweetie, all alone? Come home with Auntie. I signed her out, found a quiet place at sunset, and tucked her in. My painting took the Silver Chalice Award. I polished the trophy until it gleamed, and set it beside the portrait of Mom and Dad. My phone buzzed insistently. Riley's bright voice burst through. Aurora, hurry up. I'm right outside. I laughed and told her I was coming. I stepped out, looked up at her waving silhouette, and, I swear, life had never looked this wide open. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with friends. We can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.
My arch-nemesis crashed his car and lost his memory. To gross him out, I lied and told him I was his girlfriend, made him wait on me hand and foot, and filmed every second. I figured that once he got his memories back I'd shove the footage in his face and humiliate him for good. But when the memory returned, he dropped to his knees, hugged my leg, and wailed, Baby, do you really not want me anymore? I'm your most obedient hubby. Jason wrecked his car, and the hospital called me. Thinking it was another of his pranks, I showed up with a giant bouquet of white chrysanthemums. Jason's mouth twitched in exasperation. I'm only amnesic, not dead. You actually lost your memory? I let my jaw drop, not buying a word. But the eyes that met mine were blank and unfamiliar. Who are you? Now this was interesting. The Jason I knew looked at me like he wanted to skin me alive and swallow me whole. He'd never aimed such innocent bewilderment my way. 20 years of experience told me his acting skills weren't this polished, he wasn't faking. Which left only one possibility. Jason really had amnesia. Well, amnesia, let the fun begin. I'm your girlfriend, silly. Don't you remember? I hurried to his bedside and pressed a hand to his forehead, eyes wide with worry. What's wrong, babe? You honestly don't recognize me? More confusion clouded his gaze. Girlfriend. Oh my God, babe, you've forgotten even me. I hammed it up, pretending to cry. But I'm the girlfriend you love most. Hey, don't cry. He panicked, reaching out awkwardly. The doctor said this memory loss is temporary. Temporary? Yeah. He nodded. He didn't catch the gleeful flicker in my eyes. Temporary was exactly what I wanted. I'd trick him into believing I'm his girlfriend, make him dance to my tune, film the whole circus, and spring it on him the moment he remembers. Imagine forcing your most hated arch-nemesis to pamper you as his girlfriend. I could already see him foaming at the mouth when he watched the clips. Every frame would be pure gold. Jason, the hospital rang me first after your crash. Running into me is your karma. My heart was somersaulting with joy, but I kept my face mournful. The important thing is you're alive. I gave him a gentle, loving smile. As long as love stays, even if you forget, your heart still loves me. Do you have anything that proves you're my girlfriend? He frowned, racking his brains. Weird, the word girlfriend feels distant. You're amnesic, what doesn't feel distant right now? Fair point. If I weren't your girlfriend, why did the hospital call me first? I picked up the iPhone on his nightstand, keyed in the passcode, and unlocked it. See? If I weren't your girlfriend, how would I know your passcode? I opened his call log. Look, the last call you made before the crash was to me. The staff used that to find me. And that contact label. He pointed at the entry that read, "What doesn't kill me better start running." I nearly blacked out. I'd forgotten his idiotic nickname for me. He'd retaliated after seeing my label for him. What doesn't kill him better start running. Oh, that. I laughed brightly and showed him my phone. Matching couple names, see? Jason pressed his lips together, eyes sliding to the white mums in my arms. So the flowers. Babe, seriously? These white chrysanthemums are your absolute favorite. Don't tell me you've forgotten your beloved flowers. I shoved the bouquet at him. Take a closer sniff. Anything familiar? Jason. Was my taste always this unique? Jason stayed half convinced and half skeptical. The brat's guard was infuriatingly high. No matter, I'd dismantle it brick by brick. After 2 days in the hospital, I drove him home. The moment we reached his front door, the full performance began. I knew the entry passcode. I'd wheedled it out of Jason's mom for prank purposes. The housekeeper recognized me. We share her because our mothers think it's efficient. My stuff was strewn all over his place, deliberately left to irritate him. His home office was plastered with framed photos of us, plus shots of me cozying up to his mom, props for fooling the parents. Evidence mountain, guilty as charged. He clutched a framed photo, eyes shining with remorse. Babe, I must have loved you so much. Inside, fireworks exploded. He bought it. Jason actually bought it. I whipped out my phone and hit record. Say that again for the camera. You've never said anything this sweet. I need it saved forever. Babe, I must have loved you so much, he repeated obediently into the lens, even more remorseful. Was I really so stingy with affection? I'm sorry, babe. From now on I'll tell you I love you every single day. Me. Holy crap, when Jason falls for someone he turns into the purest golden retriever. Once his memory is back I'll rent a jumbotron downtown and loop this clip non-stop. I can't even picture how shattered his pride will be. There's no scenario in which I lose this round, none. Mom and Jason's mom are thick as thieves besties. How close. Same homeroom desk in school, boyfriends traded like comic books, weddings planned for the same day, even labor induced on the same afternoon. That synchronized childbirth landed Ellis, Jason, and me in the same hospital room. Same day, our mother's idea of destiny. Ever since, Jason and I have been stuck in each other's orbit. The moms figured 2 babies who'd shared incubators must share a soul-deep bond stronger than theirs. So while we were still on formula, they betrothed us. I grew up knowing I'd marry Jason. Jason grew up knowing he'd marry me. We, however, are congenitally rebellious. The more they pushed, the harder we shoved back. Adults cooed. Look at those 2, made for each other. Each compliment made us swap covert death glares and resolve to make the other's life miserable. Back in preschool, our fights were still kid stuff. While Jason napped, I'd swipe a Sharpie and doodle flowers all over his face, snip a fist-sized hole in the back of his t-shirt, braid his hair into sprout-like pigtails, and top them off with polka dot bows. Jason's payback was cruder. He'd inhale every last potato chip I loved, stuff the empty bag with wadded toilet paper, reseal the foil, and slide it back into my lunchbox. I thought he was pure evil every time I peeled the bag open, eyes sparkling with hope. I'd find nothing but crushed paper snowballs. Ellis, I'd retaliate by dropping pebbles from the playground basin into his carton milk. I swiped so many pebbles that Jason's mom eventually cut the preschooler check for a brand new water feature. Oak Ridge started and, surprise, we were assigned to the same class. I'd matured. Childish pranks bored me. It was time for the advanced course. I'd sneak Jason's all-nighter exam sheets into the toaster oven on low heat, erasing every painstaking answer until the pages turned blank again. After that, Jason never touched another erasable pen. The morning of a big test I'd swap every writing utensil in his pouch for red pens, forcing him to hand in a pristine white booklet. I also used sunlight reactive ink to stencil doofus across the back of his blazer, invisible indoors, but the moment he stepped onto the sunny soccer field the letters flared neon and the whole grade exploded in laughter. Jason, of course, refused to concede. He shredded my painstakingly collected holographic card set, bought flawless replacements at a premium, and passed the shiny new packs out to everyone except me. When I was picked to give the keynote at the school-wide assembly, he slipped my speech out and slid in a single sheet of printer paper, hoping I'd freeze in front of hundreds. On the first day of vacation, he even spoofed the class group chat, pretending to be the teacher, tricking me into grinding through 10 extra exam booklets over national holiday break. By Oak Ridge graduation, our grudge had calcified into something adults couldn't referee. We staged a joint protest, and the powers that be finally surrendered 1 whole inch. Good news, Jason and I would no longer share a homeroom. Bad news, our classrooms now sat side by side. Our private feud escalated into a class-level turf war. I became president of 6A. Jason captained 6B. 6A troops, I declared, we marched to scorch the earth. 6B's scoreboard will be rubble. Guard our honor. Jason shot back. 6B blades out, sharp, shining, unstoppable. Topple 6A and plant our flag. Entire 6th grade presidents, ancestors, please, can we not spiral into academic Thunderdome? Absolutely not. This isn't overstudying, it's pride. Me, Tessa, leader of 6A, losing to Jason? Unthinkable. Under our mutually assisted sabotage, 6A and 6B catapulted to permanent spots 1 and 2 on every leaderboard. Jason and I fought like mongoose and cobra. Our homeroom teachers grinned like lottery winners. 3 years later, 70% of the grade-level honor roll wore either 6A or 6B badges, and most of us matriculated to the magnet high school in town. Naturally, Jason and I landed in the same homeroom again. Fate doubled down. We were assigned adjacent desks. I'd run out of exit strategies. Jason clung like industrial-grade Velcro. Maybe it was a sophomore growth spurt, but he vaulted to 6'2", sat there motionless, and still hijacked every female gaze within a 5-desk radius, mine included. Difference was, the others stared like lovesick deer, I glared like a bull. Someone leaked that we were next-door neighbors, so the girls Jason ignored pivoted to me, fluttering eyelashes, bribing me with mocha fraps, begging me to hand-deliver their love letters. Learning Jason didn't want them? Instant catnip. If he hated the idea, I'd force-feed it to him. Cue the daily hallway spectacle of me clutching a tottering stack of pink envelopes, sprinting after Jason while he sprinted faster. College finally split us. Hudson for him, Whitman for me. Plot twist, he made Hudson's varsity debate squad. I crushed for Whitman. We met across tournament lecterns like opposing vaults, sparks guaranteed. Hudson debaters warned novices, never provoke Whitman's Tessa, she bites. Whitman debaters counter, avoid Hudson's Jason, he has fangs. Eventually both captains agreed on an unspoken rule, Tessa and Jason could not be entered in the same round. Reasoning, feared collateral damage when our rebuttals turned physical. Robbed of debate, we migrated to every other contest on campus. For 2 straight years, if registration sheets bore both our names, the rest of the field side, 3rd place is the new first, those two are battling for the ceiling. Sophomore summer, he interned at Vance Industries, I interned at Sinclair Holdings. Zero coordination, identical project briefs. Our parents, equal parts alarmed and amused, merged the proposals and locked us in the same conference room. Those months were, unbelievably, the most peaceful of our 20-year Cold War. We still hated each other, but neither of us was dumb enough to sabotage dividends. The merger hit launch week, then Jason wrapped his Tesla around an oaks-lined curve and lost 2 decades of memories. Baby, tell me again how we happened, he murmurs now, curling 6'2" of boyfriend into my lap on the sectional, nose nuzzling my collarbone. Ever since the neurologists installed me as his girlfriend, the affection flows like scripted muscle memory. A titan burrowing into me for cuddles. If my nerves weren't laminated, I'd laugh in his face. Pre-crash, Jason used to look at me down the bridge of his nose, every glance a chilled dagger, every syllable marinated in venom. Post-crash, Jason is disturbingly soft, soft enough to sprout guilt. Can't have that. Mercy on the battlefield is suicide. Start to finish. I weave the fiction like silk. We've known each other forever. You crushed on me from sandbox days, trailed me like a lovesick duckling. When I ignored you, you cried. Daily gifts, surprise serenades, absolute obedience. If I said jump, you'd ask how high. You adored me, worshipped me, lived to make me smile. The perfect, smitten soulmate. I knew it, he whispers, voice honeyed and drowsy. Only reason you're so good to me is because I treated you like a queen first. That's my hubby, I coo, scratching his scalp. He nestles closer. I'll keep spoiling my baby forever. Good boy. I pat his head, already scripting tomorrow's fairy tale. Jason looked at me, those puppy dog eyes turning from watery to scorching hot. I met his gaze and froze for a second, a bad premonition prickling my spine. Wait, that look in Jason's eyes. Before I could react, his lips crashed onto mine, kissing me hard. Me. For 20 straight years I'd been too busy fighting Jason brain to brain to bother with romance, so I'd stayed utterly boyfriendless and my first kiss had been sitting in storage. I'd definitely imagined and looked forward to that first kiss. But never, in my wildest nightmares, had I pictured the moment being casually hijacked by this dog of a man, Jason. I'm tainted, actually kissed by Jason the mutt, and he didn't just peck, he poured his soul into it until my head spun, my lungs burned, and my brain started screaming for oxygen. Page. Jason, you, stop kissing. I shoved at his chest. Useless. He was too strong, apparently drunk on the kiss. I couldn't budge him. Babe, you smell amazing. His mouth traveled south to my throat. He inhaled, then bit down hard and sucked. Oh. I yelped. Jason, are you a dog? He whispered against my ear. Let me be your puppy forever, okay? Then he scooped me up and carried me toward the king-size bed. The instant he leaned over me I yelled, no. Riley stared like a scolded pup. Babe, what did I do wrong? You screwed up huge. I pushed him off and sat up. You used to be obedient. You never pulled this. He gazed at me, silent, waiting for the rest. Before, you respected me. This stuff only happens when I start it. I have to want it. If I don't, it's a hard no. Jason nodded, bright-eyed and innocent. So, do you want it now? Of course not. I shoved him again, furious. He hung his head pitifully. I lost my memory. Does that mean you don't love me anymore? Damn it. For a second I actually felt sorry for him, wondering if I'd bullied him too far. How could that be, babe? I chirped, cupping his face. As long as you keep loving me, I'll keep loving you. Perfectly logical. If Jason loved me, I'd love him back. Pity he never could, so the issue was moot. Not lying, just stating facts. Hearing that, Jason beamed and mirrored the gesture. Don't worry, babe, I'll love you forever and ever. Love isn't just words, I said. You used to run my bath at night, sprinkle rose petals, lay out my silk pajamas and towel, pour me a glass of red, dry my hair afterward, even handwash my clothes. Got it, babe. He kissed my forehead and bounced off the bed. I did it before, I can do it again. iPhone in hand, I tailed him, recording everything. Jason glanced at the camera. We're filming this. Obviously. I fibbed. I'm chronicling our daily life. 1. If you forget again I can show you proof we were adorable. 2. Whenever I miss you I can rewatch. Truth. 1. Once his memory returns he'll see how I bossed him around. 2. I'll have endless blackmail footage. Jason bought my thoughtfulness, even throwing looks at the lens for cinematic flair. I kept rolling, not missing a second. He filled the tub and tested the temperature finger by finger. He plucked rose petals one by one and scattered them across the water. He set out my silk pajamas. Do you need lingerie? He spotted the neat row of bras, cheeks igniting, eyes darting away. Me, trying to look calm, I was equally freaked. I'd been so busy ordering him around I'd forgotten what goes under pajamas. Skip it, I said coolly. Who sleeps in a bra? Really? He blinked, as if I'd taught him a life hack, then pointed at the matching panties. So, these two? Me. Suddenly it felt less like me tormenting him and more like him tormenting me. What do you think? I hissed. Do you sleep commando? I thought girls were different. Sam's face flamed redder than a ripe apple. Which pair, then? Me. Pretty sure my own face could rival his now, but I couldn't chicken out. I'm supposed to be his girlfriend, after all. He's the amnesiac, not me. What kind of legit boyfriend blushes at underwear? I inhaled, smile fixed. The pink ones, thanks. Okay. He extracted a pink bikini-cut pair trimmed with white lace. He parked a glass of red on the tub ledge, then spoke to the lens. Babe, bath's ready. I rose on tiptoe to pat his head. Good boy. Now scram. He pleaded, can't I stay? Me. I slapped the door shut in his face. He stared, wounded. Babe, you hit me. Well, hadn't meant to. Reflex took over. I quickly cooed, hits are kisses, scolds are love, so that was me loving you. He pondered, then eagerly offered his other cheek. Love me more, babe. Me. Since when does Jason have a kink for punishment? I soaked in the tub for a blissful 40 minutes, and the moment I stepped out I found Jason parked on the couch, cheeks puffed like a blowfish. What's wrong? I asked, genuinely curious. Was he really this sulky because I hadn't let him watch me bathe? I'm such a terrible person. Heh. I almost thought I'd misheard. You're terrible? What does that even mean? Baby, I have to confess. He lifted his iPhone toward me with both hands, eyes pitiful. I messed up, punish me. Come again. I hadn't the faintest idea what he was on about. I took the phone and saw he'd blocked his best buddy Logan. Jason, to think I called someone who badmouths you my best friend, I'm awful. Baby, penalize me however you want. The corner of my mouth twitched. Logan said nasty things about me. Like what, exactly? Jason tapped open a screenshot he'd saved before yanking the trigger. Smart, archive the evidence before you nuke the friendship. The chat log was pure gold. Without it I'd never have known how he and his bro used to talk about me. Logan, where have you been hiding lately? Jason, with my baby. Logan, since when do you have a baby? Jason, I've always had her. Logan, dude, not cool. You've got a girlfriend and you never told us. Logan, who is she? Do I know her? Jason, Tessa. Logan, are you saying Tessa is your girlfriend and you're with her right now? Logan, holy crap, man, were you body snatched? Logan, isn't Tessa your arch nemesis? Logan, weren't you the guy who swore you'd detest her for life? Logan, didn't you claim you'd sooner date a zombie than Tessa? Logan, and that she's good for nothing except driving you insane? Jason, lies, why would I ever say that? Jason, have you been poisoning my relationship with my babe? Jason, my love for her is unbreakable. Give it up. Logan, you sure you're Jason? Someone hijack your account. Jason, if you can't respect my babe, we're done. Logan's final string of question marks never went through. Jason crowned them with a big red exclamation mark. Reading it, my lip twitched again. I had no words. Honestly, Jason had stayed civil when I vented to my bestie about him. My vocabulary had been way more colorful. Poor Logan, though. Babe, don't worry. Jason raised 3 fingers in a earnest scout salute. I swear we're through. From now on, anyone who insults you answers to me. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. I whipped out my iPhone and flipped to video mode. Mind repeating that oath for the camera, babe? Post-amnesia, Jason was ridiculously obedient. Just as I'd schemed, he spoiled me rotten, answered every whim, bowed to every wish. Only quirk, he loved to snatch me up and gnaw on me. After every deep kiss he'd cradle my face and plant tiny ones across every inch of skin, 5-minute tours. Half the time I wondered if he was starving and planning to devour me. After a month of non-stop PDA, my video stash was pushing 10 gigs, and Jason's memory still hadn't resurfaced. I was out of tricks. I couldn't keep playing house forever. I dragged him back to Riverdale General for a follow-up. Dr. Hayes said the hematoma in his brain had dissolved, he was medically fine. As for his memories, the doc shrugged. Could be tomorrow, could be never. Useless. I made up my mind, if he wasn't back to normal in 2 days, I'd dump him. No way was I sacrificing myself on this altar. Bestie invited me for drinks. Jason insisted on tagging along. When she saw me walk in clutching his arm, her jaw nearly hit the floor. Watching me cling like a vine and coo against his shoulder, her eyeballs practically popped. Am I hallucinating? Is the sun rising in the west? End times, maybe. Aren't you going to introduce me? Jason asked, adorably clueless. Nothing to introduce, this is Stella. She knows you. You're the amnesiac, not her. I shooed him off to fetch me a drink. Once he was gone, I gave Stella the month's highlight reel. She kept shouting legendary and gave me a double thumbs up. Only you could cook up payback, this savage. If Jason ever remembers, he'll die of rage on the spot. I arched a brow, delighted. Mission accomplished if he does. So are you riding this charade till his memory reboots? Nope. Tomorrow I pull the plug. Then let your girl give you a hand tonight, Stella said, a wicked glint in her eyes. A bad premonition prickled my spine. Naturally, my bestie delivered. Jason returned with our drinks and found my sofa swarming with hired, every last one over 6'1", broad-shouldered, narrow-waisted, long-legged, baby-faced, sweet-tongued. One massaged my shoulders, one kneaded my legs. One fed me fruit, another hovered with a cocktail, straw-poised. A fifth was mid-striptease, down to the final article of clothing. Jason stared, disbelieving, and I swear I heard something crack inside him. Why are you standing there? Sit. I pointed to an empty spot, conveniently across from me. Instead he stormed over, yanking bodies left and right, clearing the couch in 2 seconds flat. Out, every single one of you, he barked. The hired glanced at him, then at me, and, ignoring Jason, closed ranks again, squeezing him backward. We're on the ladies' tab, not yours. She hasn't dismissed us. Right, unless sis says go, we stay. Sweetheart, jealous guys are no fun. We'll never get mad at you. Yeah, babe. Aren't we enough? Just ditch the control freak. I laughed until my cheeks hurt. Oh, come here, sis will spoil you. Tessa, I thought I was your one and only baby, so what is this? His face crumpled. I spread my hands, feigning helplessness. I can't help it, they call me sis. Exactly, they chorused. We make sis happy. Can you? Watch me. Jason bulldozed his way back onto the couch and muscled a space between me and the nearest bare-chested boy. I really hadn't expected Jason to take those hired seriously. Stella had rounded up so many hired so I could use them tomorrow as my excuse to break up with Jason. Who knew Jason would prove even more stubborn than I'd guessed. A hired started massaging my shoulders. Jason shoved him aside and took over. A hired began kneading my legs. Jason elbowed him out and grabbed the job. A hired tried feeding me fruit. Jason blocked him and popped the slice into my mouth himself. A hired lifted a glass of wine to my lips. Jason cut him off, snatched the drink, and downed it. When a hired offered to strip for me, Jason insisted he could do it better, but after 2 discarded shirts the final layer refused to budge, so he ended up emo in a corner, killing another glass. Just adorably pitiful. Pitiful enough that I almost felt sorry for him. Terrifying. I decided the breakup absolutely had to happen tomorrow. Jason had guzzled a ton, and I hadn't held back either. How we got home is a blank. All I remember is us propping each other through the doorway, the door slamming, and Jason pinning me against it, kissing me like he hated me. Then, bam, morning. We were stark naked on the king-size bed, limbs tangled. Jason woke first. The second he saw whose head was on his chest, he jolted upright, eyes wide with horror, brain short-circuiting. He yanked the duvet with him. The cold snap made me scowl awake. I met his panicked stare and knew, memory restored. So the amnesia's gone. I wrenched the covers back, rolled over drowsily, and yawned. I'm still exhausted. You sit there and freak out. I need the extra sleep. When I finally woke, Jason was on the edge of the mattress, still emo. The instant I pushed myself up, he thrust my silk pajamas at me. Put something on. He couldn't look at me. His ears were turning red. I laughed, slipped the top over my head, then straddled him and pinned him to the headboard. Well, remember everything now? And you wake up next to your arch-nemesis, the girl you've spent weeks spoiling as your girlfriend. Angry much? Jason's face was thunder. Tessa, this isn't a joke. I'm not joking. I'm straight up trolling you. I unlocked my iPhone, opened the first random video, and held it up. Look, Jason tying shoes for the girl he supposedly hates, so gentle. I tapped another clip. And here he is cooking for his enemy. Post-amnesia, Jason is so obedient. Each clip dripped with sarcasm, meant to torch him. But the more he watched, the redder he got until his glare softened into something downright smoldering. Wait, this wasn't the plan. I pocketed the phone. You're not mad. Catching your breath for a revenge bomb? Better run while I can. If those arms start swinging, I'm toast. I swung my legs off the bed. Before my feet hit the floor, he tugged me back, flipped me onto the mattress, and trapped me beneath him. I froze. What do you think you're doing? Retesting what kissing my arch-nemesis feels like, Sam said, and crushed his mouth to mine. Me? Gasping, I shoved him back. You remember who I am, right? Have you lost your mind? Crystal clear, he murmured, eyes shining. Aren't you my babe? Heh, baby, you said it yourself. I'm your babe, and you're my favorite babe. He brushed my cheek. I was the one with amnesia, you weren't. You can't take your own words back. But that was, babe, promises are promises. Jason had officially snapped, and he refused to let me out of bed. After 48 hours of reacquaintance, I lay sprawled and useless. Babe, lunch. He carried a tray in, propped me up, and aimed a fork at my mouth. I glared. This is payback, isn't it? Between boyfriends, he said innocently, nothing counts as revenge. You fine. I inhaled. I'm breaking up with you. The words barely left my lips before his eyes reddened, shining with unshed tears. You're dumping me, babe. You swore I was your beloved boyfriend and you'd love me forever. Me. Amnesia Jason was a green tea drama queen. Memory returned Jason is an even stronger brew. He saved the biggest scene for our family's monthly dinner. Aunt Sinclair, he whimpered to Mom, Tessa used me and now she's tossing me aside. She's going to ruin me. What will I do without her? Me. Spare me. Pre-crash we were only one survives this, and now he can't live without me. Mom bought every word. The second she heard I'd defiled and abandoned him, she twisted my ear until I apologized, then joined Jason's mom to book the wedding. Me. I finally saw the hole I'd dug, big enough for two. Wedding night. Jason cornered me against the wall. Babe, how does it feel marrying your arch-nemesis? So that's it, this whole marriage is revenge. I spun us around, lifting his chin. Delighted. Enjoy the misery, husband. His puppy eyes melted. Chuckling, he leaned to my ear and whispered, Babe, truth is I'm crazy in love with you. Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate today's story? If you liked the video, like and share it with friends. We can't wait to read your comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.
On my wedding day, my husband's childhood sweetheart came back. She slipped her arm through my husband's, slept in my marital bed, and still smiled while calling me her maid. Today is my big day with Chase. We were standing outside the Grand's main doors, greeting the guests, and just as we finished the photos and were about to walk up the aisle, Chase's already married little green plum Sophia rushed in alone. She wore a scarlet cocktail dress, simple, nothing technically wrong with it. But the instant she arrived, she glued herself to Chase and cooed, Chase, you're really getting married, am I still the little princess in your heart? You have to say I'm your only princess, or I won't let you go inside. When Chase and I were dating, I knew he had a childhood friend named Sophia. The two had grown up together and were very close. Later Sophia married and moved away, and they lost touch. Today, at my wedding, I'd figured she might show and I'd steeled myself. Still, her words stung. This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, so I swallowed my anger and forced a smile. Sophia, don't make a scene. The officiant has rushed us 3 times. After the ceremony you two can catch up, okay? Sophia not only ignored me, she rolled her eyes. I'm talking to Chase, what are you interrupting for?
You haven't married in yet, you're still an outsider. What right do you have to butt into our business? Chase and I have years of history, it's not your place to tell us what to do. I hated hearing that, but I couldn't very well quarrel at the door. I simply bottled it up and tugged Chase's sleeve, hoping he'd say something. He seemed to sense my irritation and frowned at her. Sophia, how can you speak to Vivian like that? Instantly Sophia's face fell, she practically draped herself over his neck. You're scolding me for an outsider? I won't let you pass unless you step over me. Talk about bad luck. I shot Chase a look telling him to shake her off and get on the stage. The officiant had already urged us twice. Instead of shaking her off, he slipped an arm under her thighs and lifted her up, doting. Okay, my fault. Be careful, if you fall you'll cry again. Beaming, Sophia stuck her tongue out at me, as if flaunting her victory. I rolled my eyes inwardly, disgusting woman. Seeing us still blocking the entrance, the officiant finally came to fetch us. She spotted Sophia dangling from Chase, yanked her off, and blocked her from getting close again while waving us forward. Guest, please step aside. The couple need to exchange rings, family and friends have waited long enough. I silently applauded the officiant, then quickly took Chase's arm and walked up the aisle to accept everyone's blessings. Once we were in place, the officiant hurried back up to continue. According to schedule, after her short speech we would exchange wedding bands, then start the toast rounds table by table. But just as the officiant finished, the double doors burst open and several waiters wheeled in carts loaded with food. We were stunned, even the officiant looked blank. From the stage I spotted Sophia in the corner, arching her brow at me with a smug smile. No need to guess, this had her fingerprints all over it. The officiant, used to grand spectacles, regrouped fast. She murmured that we skip the remaining bits, swap rings, and move straight to toasting. She pulled the velvet box from her pocket, ready to speed things along. Before I could take the groom's band, however, commotion rippled through the guests. I turned to see Sophia moving from table to table with a wineglass, toasting people. After 3 tables she lifted her face to the stage and called, "Chase, what are you standing there for? Come help me toast the guests." Chase snapped out of it, shook off my restraining hand, and went down to join her. I watched them laugh together, my expression blank, I couldn't even fake a smile. The officiant, probably witnessing this for the first time, gave me an awkward smile, at a loss for comforting words. So we stood there on the stage like statues, staring at the farce below. Some guests sensed something off and kept glancing our way. I kept my head down, eyes fixed on my wedding gown, blocking out their gaze. At last Chase returned. The officiant stepped over, velvet box in hand, and whispered, "Groom, you still haven't exchanged the rings." She didn't finish. Sophia snatched the box, feigning innocence. "So these are the rings, let me see." She flicked it open, of course it was the groom's band she lifted out. "Come here," she chirped at Chase. "Let me check, the size looks wrong for you." Chase frowned. "I tried it on, it can't be wrong." I added, "The rings are custom, there's no mistake." Sophia acted as though I'd said nothing. She took Chase's hand and slid the band onto his ring finger. Then she popped out the bride's band and pressed it into his palm. "I've done yours, now you do mine." She wiggled her fingers under his nose. I stared at Chase, saying nothing. We'd stayed up nights poring over designs. The inside of each band was engraved with our initials. I refused to believe he didn't know what that ring meant. I told myself, if he refuses her, I'll forgive him for the toasting circus. If he refuses, there's still hope. I clenched my teeth, eyes locked on him, praying he'd do the right thing. Even the officiant, sensing the tension, stood mute. Yet under our combined stare Chase noticed nothing. He simply smiled, took the bride's band from Sophia, and slipped it onto her ring finger. At that instant my heart turned to ash. I asked myself, is a lifetime with this man really worth it? Sophia hadn't expected it either. The light sparked across her face as she flashed the ring at me, half covering her mouth. "Sorry, Vivian, I wore it for you." "Chase, honestly, you actually did it." Poor Vivian's going to cry. She pulled the ring off and shoved it back into my hand, then looped her arm through Chase's. "Your ring you can put on yourself." I already helped with his. Taking it off would be bad luck. Chase nodded. Right, old folks say once the wedding band goes on it never comes off. I'll keep mine, you handle yours. I tightened my grip on the ring and gave a cold laugh. So you think I should put this on myself? Chase opened his mouth, but Sophia cut in. It's just slipping on a ring, you've got hands. Do it yourself. You should thank me, I wasn't too tired to toast every table for you, and I even put Chase's band on him. You got married just standing there, what more do you want? Chase, I'm right, aren't I? Wasn't I amazing today? Chase didn't reply either, he only nodded absently. I was already 2 seconds from flipping the table. I'm the one who's Chase's wife, yet he's letting some childhood sweetheart turn my wedding into a three-ring circus. I was about to explode when the officiant stepped in to smooth things over. The guests are almost finished eating, the bride and groom should go to the door to see them off. This time Sophia didn't argue, she just drifted to the side by herself. Chase looked anxious now. He slipped his arm through mine and muttered, "Come on, let's go. Don't make a scene in front of family and friends." A hard lump of anger stuck in my throat. A minute ago the two of you were doing toast rounds and swapping rings without worrying about making a scene, and now you're lecturing me about manners? If guests hadn't started filing out to say goodbye, I would have dragged Chase aside and cursed him until he drowned in it. When the last guest finally left, I exhaled and started back inside. Sophia had vanished, nowhere in sight. Now Chase was suddenly worried about me. Smiling, he caught my hand and tried to coax me back to our bridal suite for the wedding night. My heart softened for a second and I got into the car with him. The instant I stepped through the door I knew something was off. Our place looked as if a storm had torn through it. I figured we'd tidy up together, but the second he walked in he groaned that he was exhausted and headed straight for a shower in bed. I had no choice. I slipped out of my wedding gown, put on loungewear, and cleaned the living room myself. After I finished and took my own shower, I found the bedroom already dark. Chase sprawled on the king-size bed. I wondered why he was turning in so early, pulled back the duvet and started to climb in. My foot brushed something soft and warm. I yelped and jumped back. "What is that?" Chase grumbled upright and flicked on the light. "Cut the noise, will you? Some of us are trying to sleep." In the glare I saw Sophia lying in my spot, red silk pajamas on, hair loose over the pillow like she owned it. She rubbed her eyes, fake drowsy. "What's wrong? What happened?" I jabbed a finger at her. "Why are you in here? This is our bridal suite, our marital bed. Why is Sophia camped on it?" She blinked innocently and cuddled against Chase's shoulder. "It's so late and I don't have a room. I had to crash here. Lucky Chase feels sorry for me, otherwise I'd be wandering the streets." "Don't be upset, Vivian. Chase is only being kind. We shared a bed as kids, it's no big deal. If we'd wanted something to happen, you'd never have been in the picture. I'm just lying here for the night, so don't get all dramatic." I stared at her with zero expression. All day this woman has stamped across every landmine I have. I drew one slow breath and gave her a last warning. "Listen. This is the apartment Chase and I picked as our bridal suite, and tonight is our wedding night. If you had any decency you'd get out right now, hotel, friend's couch, I don't care. What you don't do is sit on my marital bed wrapped around my husband pretending to sip tea while telling me not to mind." Something in that speech flipped Sophia's switch. She catapulted upright, fingers stabbing at me. "Think marrying Chase makes you a Rowan? Think you can boss me around? You're the outsider, the servant they paid to wait on him. The second he tires of you, you're gone. Your marital bed, please. I chose this mattress for Chase, I paid for it, I made it. You didn't chip in money or muscle, so who are you to sleep here? What gives you the right?" I gaped at Chase. When we'd shopped for furniture I'd shown him a few bed options, but he insisted he'd handle the marital bed as a surprise for me. Surprise delivered, and it's disgusting. I faced him. "Anything to say?" Both women are fighting over him, his word settles it. Before he could speak Sophia cut in. "What's to discuss? Chase and I grew up side by side, we've always shared a bed. This one was custom made for us, and tonight we're sleeping together. You can take the sofa. Chase already agreed we'd spend the night together reliving old memories, right, Chase? Chase opened his mouth. Sophia tugged his sleeve. He shrank, mumbling, "Why yeah." I kept my eyes on him, refusing to accept it. Chase, this is our wedding day, our wedding night, and you honestly expect me to sleep on the living room sofa? He looked at me, then at Sophia, body locking up. He averted his gaze and played dead. Sophia preened, jabbing at the door. See? Marianne, you're still an outsider. I'm the princess Chase will always protect, I matter more than you. Stop gawking and get lost. Chase has had a long day, he needs his rest. Chase stayed silent. Disappointment hollowed me out. So this is the man I married. If I didn't know Sophia already had a husband, I'd swear they were having an affair. As things stand, I'm the legal wife, yet he lets an outsider trample me. At that moment my heart flatlined, I quit struggling. I gave the pair on the bed a cold smile. Fine. I can walk out. But hear this, once I leave this room tonight, you can beg on your knees tomorrow and I won't come back. I'm gone, and first thing in the morning we file for divorce at City Hall. So, Chase, last chance. Who exactly is leaving? Panic flashed across Chase's face. He tried to scramble off the bed, but Sophia yanked him back. He squirmed, voice soft and coaxing. Xiao Yao, maybe don't make Vivian leave. It's her wedding night, she can't sleep outside. The bed's huge, 3 of us can squeeze. I'll lie between you two. Just picturing it made bile surge up my throat, I dry heaved. What kind of creature did I marry that he can suggest something so vile? The second Chase noticed me gag, his eyes lit up. He shook Sophia off and hurried toward me, gently clasping my arm, grinning ear to ear. Vivian, are you pregnant? My mom says nausea equals baby on board. Why didn't you tell me? I never would have asked you to sleep outside. I didn't want him touching me. I pulled free, brows knit. I'm not pregnant. My period ended a few days ago, impossible. Chase refused to believe me, he was sure I was hiding it. He stepped closer, scolding under his breath, careless, aren't you? If anything happens to my little heir, I'll never forgive you. Get on the bed and lie down. You've had a long day, rest up. You can't tire my precious boy. That baby you're carrying is the Rowan's first golden grandson. Guard that belly like it's Fort Knox. Even if you exhaust yourself, my boy stays safe. The second he finished, Chase yanked me toward the bed. We'd barely taken 2 steps when Sophia, still perched on the mattress, shrieked. No! I won't let her in my bed. It's mine. Who said she could set foot on it? It's just a pregnancy. Chase, listen up, I'm pregnant too, and this baby is yours. My feet froze. I stared at Sophia, stunned. Did she even hear what she just said? How dare she spit out something like that? I wasn't the only one frozen. Chase gaped at her. What baby? What's it got to do with me? Don't you have a husband? Not many guys dream of instant fatherhood, and Chase was no exception. Sophia's face went coy in a heartbeat. She twisted a strand of hair. Chase, don't you remember? That night we went for late-night bites, got drunk, and crashed together. Chase didn't even blink, he fired the question right in front of me. You mean last month when I was on that business trip and ran into you? We were both wasted, how would we remember anything? Panic flared in Sophia's eyes. You might have blacked out, but I didn't. We bumped into each other, went for drinks and snacks, and woke up in the same bed. This baby was conceived that night, I'm positive it's yours, not my deadbeat husband's. Something in Chase's face shifted toward belief. He beamed at her. Really? Then I'm about to be daddy to 2 boys. How lucky can a guy get? Everyone will say I'm blessed. Come on, Sophia, you take the right side, Vivian the left. I'll lie between you, arms around both my heroines of the Rowan family. He reached for me again. I'd had enough. I swung my arm and slapped him across the face with everything I had. Disgusting pair, absolutely vile. The slap left Chase blank. Sophia recovered first, screeching and lunging to grab my hair. Bitch! How dare you hit Chase? He's your master, you little servant. Die, just die. She yanked hard. I retaliated, fisting her hair with both hands and stomping on her feet. She sobbed, cursed, wailed. I tuned it out. No way I'd let go until she did. Chase only shouted for us to stop. He never stepped in. We spun across the room, hair tangled, until the small of her back slammed into the corner of a side table. She shrieked, released my hair, and cradled her belly, half collapsing. Chase, my stomach, it hurts. Help me, he panicked, the coward. Dropping to his knees in front of me, he babbled, Vivian, wife, I swear I didn't betray you. Forgive me, it's all her fault. She threw herself at me. Sophia, still clutching her midriff, snarled through the pain. Liar! He ignored her and kept pleading. Honestly, Vivian, she stirred everything up. I was weak for a second, please, just this once. If the cramp hadn't floored her, I swear Sophia would have sprung up swinging. My scalp throbbed, but my mind was crystal clear. I pointed at the writhing Sophia. Get her to the hospital, now. I've never given birth, but every soap opera lesson says a bump like that plus belly pain equals one thing, pregnancy. Groaning, Sophia couldn't speak, cold sweat dotted her forehead. Anyone with a brain could see an emergency, yet Chase stayed on his knees, begging. She can wait, wife. Say you forgive me. I won't stand up until you do. Vivian, I love you, I lost my head. Just once, forgive me. I tried dragging him up. He was dead weight, rooted to the rug. On one side, Sophia on the floor, on the other, Chase kneeling. My head throbbed. I inhaled, kicked him aside, then knelt to check Sophia. Seeing her pale and drenched in sweat, I dialed 911, reported a possible miscarriage threat, and requested an ambulance. When Chase realized what I'd done, he looked thunderstruck. He lunged, knocking my phone away. What the hell? Mind your own business, you meddling bitch. You hate her, you two just fought, so let her suffer. You made that call, you carry the fallout. Don't drag me into it. If you dare breathe a word blaming me, I'll beat the crap out of you. He raised a clenched fist to drive the threat home. I stared, feeling as if I were meeting Chase for the very first time. Back when we dated, he'd been gentle, considerate, even when I messed up. He never lost his temper. This man and that memory didn't align. Disappointment washed through me, along with relief that I'd seen his real face in time. My gaze turned to ice. I met his eyes like he was a stranger. Relax, if anyone asks, I'll tell the exact truth. But hear me, once this is over, we're divorced. Chase averted his gaze and said nothing. I didn't care whether he agreed, my mind was made. While calming Sophia, I kept glancing for sirens. The ambulance arrived quickly. After a fast check, the paramedics lifted her onto a stretcher and wheeled her toward the vehicle. I planned to step back once they took over. I'd already waded too deep. But the moment they loaded her, Sophia clutched my sleeve. Pale and trembling, she whispered, "Please, come with me." I'm scared. Instinctively I scanned for Chase. He hovered in a corner, eyes on his phone, an unmistakable signal that he wouldn't lift a finger. I swallowed the urge to throttle him. Since he refused, it fell to me, and the plea in Sophia's eyes tugged at something despite everything. I squeezed her hand. It's okay. I'm coming. Tears threatened, but she managed a grateful nod. Together with the crew, I rolled her downstairs and climbed into the ambulance. Just as the doors began to close, Chase hopped in behind me. I shot him 2 glances and snapped, "What are you doing here? You show up and I'm out." The second I said it, I started to climb out of the ambulance, but Chase blocked my way and barked, "No. You're coming to the hospital with me." I was about to argue when the paramedic cut in. "Family, sit down. We're leaving now." I could only glare at Chase, swallow my anger, and slide back onto the bench. The ambulance pulled up to St. Camillus in minutes. They wheeled Sophia straight into the ER. Chase and I parked ourselves outside to wait. I picked the seat farthest from him, head down, scrolling my phone, pretending he didn't exist. Chase kept drifting over, trying to talk. Whatever he said, I stayed mute. Finally he gave up, slumped to the opposite wall, and played with his own screen. A little over half an hour later, a doctor finally emerged. I flicked my eyes at Chase, then stepped up to the doctor. "Doctor, is she pregnant? Are the mother and baby okay?" The doctor adjusted his glasses, voice stern. "So you knew she's pregnant? Then you should have protected her. She's still in the first trimester, a hard impact could trigger miscarriage. Lucky you got her here fast. Next time be more careful, understood?" I nodded repeatedly, memorized the instructions, then took the billing slip and headed to pay. I turned and caught Chase sneaking a look at me, dying to know but afraid to ask. I walked straight over and slapped the bill into his hand. "Here. Pay it." Chase exploded on the spot. "Why me? This started because of you. You pay." "What's it got to do with me?" Disgust washed over me. "She says the baby is yours. If you won't pay, fine, I will. Just Venmo me." He spat back, "No way. I'm not bankrolling you too. Pay if you want, I'm broke." His attitude revolted me so much my fists clenched. Remembering we were in a hospital kept me from swinging. After 2 deep breaths I stomped off and settled the bill myself. Receipt in hand, I peeked into the private ward where Sophia had been moved. Once I saw she was stable, I left. Outside the main doors I realized she had nothing, no toiletries, no snacks, and Chase was useless. So, well past midnight, I hunted down a 24-hour bodega, loaded up on food and anything else she might need, and carried the bags back to her bedside. Looking at her chalk-white face, I sighed, then walked out feeling like knotted twine. With 0 chance of sleep, I packed everything I owned. At dawn I called Mom and asked her to bring the cousins and a truck. Mom arrived with 3 cousins. One trip cleared every suitcase and box out of the bridal suite and back to my parents' house. Standing in my childhood bedroom, I finally exhaled. After a hot meal I texted Chase, "Meet me at City Hall this afternoon, divorce." He didn't reply. Calls rang to voicemail. Furious, I rolled up my sleeves to hunt him down, then a cousin DM'd me a video. I tapped play. Sophia, in a hospital gown, face bloodless, weeping to the camera. She posted 3 clips, the gist, childhood sweethearts, she and Chase, true love, now she's pregnant. I swooped in like a vulture, stole him while she's carrying his baby. The fetus is showing preterm risk, she needs him. Please, let Chase come back to her. Today's netizens adore sleazy morality plays, so the clips blew up overnight. Her betrayal didn't even make my pulse skip. A man like Chase breeds matching poison. Of course Sophia grew up the same. What puzzled me, won't her husband see this? Long-distance marriage or not, the internet is a small town, it's only a matter of time. Before I could guess why, Chase called back. First words out of his mouth, smug as hell, "Saw the videos? I haven't doxed you yet. Transfer 50 grand hush money and promise not to divorce, and Sophia will delete them. Otherwise, well, enjoy the online mob attack." 50 grand, exactly the amount my parents had given me. I refused on the spot. What you two are doing is criminal defamation. Add blackmail and it's felony territory. Pay you? Dream on. He snorted, barked, "Just wait," and hung up. Strong words aside, I could already see doxing threads popping up. Random strangers were flooding my profile. To shield Mom, I booked my parents on a long cruise and hustled them out of town. Once they sailed, I remembered a cousin whose in-laws come from the same town as Sophia's. I rang her, dig, find them, make sure they see the circus. The bigger the mess, the better. She agreed instantly. While I waited, Chase kept calling, demanding the cash. I blocked every number. Sophia uploaded fresh clips, writing the earlier hype. They detonated again. Watching her newest post, something felt off. Her face looked paler than in yesterday's clip, and a bed rest order rarely keeps you hospitalized a whole week, yet here she was, still in a ward. The more I replayed it, the faker that pallor looked. My gut tightened. I tried to ignore it, but conscience won. Mask on, baseball cap tugged low, I slipped into St. Camillus after dusk. To my surprise, Chase had upgraded her to a single room. I paced the corridor, pretending to text while scoping the door. Chase was nowhere. Inside, Sophia sat propped against white pillows, sipping water, nibbling a dry cracker. Pregnant, and that's dinner? I frowned, waited until sure he wasn't coming, then slipped in and set the fruit bag on her nightstand. Startled, she shrank back, then recognized me and clutched my sleeve, babbling, "I knew you'd come, you'd sense something was wrong. I've been waiting, thank God you're here." By now I could see something was off, so I cut straight to the chase. "What happened between you and that scumbag Chase?" Sophia gnashed her teeth and snarled, "Chase, that bastard, should rot in the deepest circle of hell forever. After you left that day he flipped out. He forced me to post a video smearing you. He said your 500 grand was rightfully his, and the condo you bought before the wedding should be his too. He wanted to use me to destroy your reputation and drive you out with nothing, so he could keep the money and the apartment. I refused, of course. I knew you were the one who brought me to the hospital, you saved me and my baby, I'm grateful down to my soul. When that piece of trash saw I wouldn't play along, he hit me, snatched my phone and wallet, and told the nurses I was confused from pregnancy paranoia. The staff stayed away, they heard me screaming for help and pretended nothing was happening. I was so scared. If you hadn't come I don't know what I'd have done. I'm trapped here, no one believes me, and every day that jerk makes me film clips. He's so afraid I'll escape he barely feeds me. I swear the baby and I are going to starve if you don't get us out." Watching Sophia sob with snot and tears all over her face, I couldn't find any comforting words. She also told me every stunt she pulled at my wedding had been scripted by Chase so I'd file for divorce and he could walk off with my money. He'd promised her 100,000 when it was over. Greed had fogged her brain and she'd said yes. She never dreamed it would end like this. Sophia begged me to rescue her. I shook my head. "I've got something I need you to do, something that'll make the bastard pay." Tears still shining in her eyes, she agreed. I didn't dare stay long. The moment we finished talking I turned and left. Back home I rang Chase and came straight to the point. If he agreed to the divorce, I'd hand over the condo and every dime in my account. Suspicious at first, he finally said yes once he sensed how desperate I was to be rid of him. I wired him 10 grand as a deposit, on condition that we file the papers first and transfer the deed afterward. The sight of so much cash went to his head, he signed on the spot. When that was done I had my lawyer draft a fake quitclaim deed. The minute our divorce was official I handed it to him. Either he was an idiot or he trusted me too much, because he barely glanced at the pages before strolling off with a grin. The second he disappeared around the corner I arched a brow and dialed Sophia's husband. My cousin had tracked down Sophia's in-laws and slipped me his number. I told him Sophia was hospitalized, gave him the exact private ward room, and left the rest to her. That night a text from Sophia popped up. Her husband had pounded Chase black and blue and threatened him for 60 grand in compensation. Terrified, Chase had signed an IOU on the spot. But under my arrangement her husband wasn't satisfied. He forced Chase to pull 30,000 out of a predatory loan app right then, shot a video of Chase calling it a voluntary gift that could never be clawed back, and walked off with the cash. Chase had no choice but to comply. I clapped a hand over my mouth, laughing as I read her messages. The taste of revenge was sweet. 30 grand was enough to cripple him, his monthly salary was only 3,000. Imagining the collectors on his tail put me in the best mood. Just then a friend called to meet for drinks. I accepted without hesitation. When I finally stumbled back to the gated complex it was past midnight and I was half drunk. A woman's sixth sense told me someone was tailing me. I quickened my pace toward home, but as I passed the hedge a figure sprinted up, looped an arm around my throat from behind, and pressed a blade to my cheek. The icy metal sobered me instantly, and I recognized the voice. "Chase, what do you want?" He hissed into my ear. "Bitch, I know you set me up. If I'm going down, you're coming with me. You think a divorce paper cuts me loose? As long as I don't agree, you're still my wife. I could stab you to death and the cops would call it domestic abuse, no death penalty for me." I pleaded softly while my hand rummaged in my purse. The moment his guard dropped, I jabbed the stun gun into his ribs and dropped him like a sack. I called 911 without a second thought. Whether he'd meant robbery or murder, I would make him pay. Because the officers found the knife on him, Chase was locked up fast. I hired the sharpest lawyer in Riverdale to nail him. The goal was years behind bars. With a fresh felony record and crushing debt, he'll be finished even if he ever gets out. When Sophia heard Chase had been arrested, she texted her thanks. The baby she's carrying isn't even his, she'd only claimed it to spite me. Lucky for her, I never breathed a word to her husband, otherwise she'd never wash herself clean. Guilt over Chase keeps pulling her back to chat, and after a while we've become genuine friends. On the day she gave birth, I stuffed a fat cash-stuffed red envelope for the baby, and she unapologetically asked me to be his godmother. I laughed and accepted. Having one more godson in the world can't hurt. Epilogue, Chase. I married a rich girl, but I never loved her, only her money. To strip her clean, I coaxed my childhood sweetheart into playing the other woman. Once the bride cracked and filed for divorce, the condo and the cash would be mine and I'd be a millionaire. Any woman I wanted after that would be easy pickings. But Sophia got pregnant and the circus rolled into St. Camilla's Hospital. That couldn't happen. House and fortune weren't in my pocket yet, so I stonewalled the whole mess. After Vivian walked out, my head started spinning with fresh plans. I strong-armed Sophia into recording a smear. I'd heard online mob attacks drive victims to suicide. If Vivian jumped, perfect. Instead, Sophia and that witch teamed up and buried me under a mountain of loans, north of $100,000. I'd planned to mortgage the condo, dump it into stocks, and double my money in weeks. Instead, the market crashed and the sharks of predatory lending circled in. That bitch Vivian ruined me. No way I'd let her live free. Wave a knife at her and the coward would cough up every cent. We were still in the divorce cooling-off period. Whatever I did to her would be labeled domestic, no big deal. I underestimated how vicious she could be. Now I'm rotting in a cell, staring at the ceiling every sleepless night, wondering, maybe I really did love Vivian once. If I'd chosen a different road, would I be anywhere but here? Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you liked it, hit like and share it with friends. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next tale. See you next time.